Christmas, making Christmas. It's ours this time. Full moon starts to climb, we'll all sing out it.
Yes, Sir Hairless here. Happy Halloween. I hope you are receiving loads of trick-or-treaters, eating far too much of the sweets of the candy you're supposed to be giving them, all that jazz. Today we have PENTATONIX Making Christmas from the film The Nightmare Before Christmas, this 1 hour pull of which song to do on Halloween itself. I have done 2 previous reactions to songs from this film. They were voice play with Oogie Boogie's song and Jeff Castellucci doing Jack's Lament. You can find both of them in my playlist up here, along with other kind of spooky or villain songs. This song, Making Christmas, is definitely a strange one. I've been listening to the original song and I just have quite a few questions about what PENTATONIX might do at certain parts. For example, there's some whole instrumental sections. Are they going to include them? Are they going to put words in them or where they would be? But I've learned not to expect anything when it comes to PENTATONIX because we'll always be surprised. For context, as I feel this is particularly relevant with this song, to summarize massively about what's actually happening, in short, the Halloween world full of monsters and that kind of thing. They've discovered Christmas. They want to do Christmas themselves, give Santa Claus a rest. So they are making Christmas. I'll include just a few clips now.
Making Christmas, making Christmas, making Christmas.
Quite horrific, right? That's them making the presents to give to everyone.
How I transformed this old rat into a most delightful hat.
Yeah, I mean, they're struggling to make nice presents. They don't know what nice presents are.
That's all wrong. This thing will never make a present. It's been dead for much too long. Try something fresher, something pleasant.
So you probably get the gist by now. And here they show the Christmas elves making presents compared to the Halloween folk. So hopefully there's a bit of insight into the song if you haven't seen the film, and you can understand why I'm especially curious to see what PENTATONIX might do with it. So let's get straight into it.
This time, making Christmas, making Christmas. Making Christmas, making Christmas is so fine. It's ours this time, and won't the children be surprised? It's ours this time. Making Christmas, making Christmas, making Christmas.
Time to give them something fun they'll talk about for years to come.
Let's have a cheer from everyone. Snakes and mice get wrapped up so nice, with spider legs and pretty bows. It's ours this time. All together, that and this, with all our tricks, we're making Christmas time.
I don't.
Oh, this is intense. It's an intense one. There's a lot of stimulation going on visually in terms of what we're hearing, blimey, and here as well the visual effects. Well, this is another short one actually. It's just over 2 minutes long. We're over halfway, so I think we're just going to carry on and then I'll do the analysis at the end. This little pause here will help with copyright and I'll just give a few thoughts, not really music related. I did not know what they do with this one. When I saw the original film and this song came on, I was thinking, what are they going to do with this? This is such a weird song and a difficult song to even conceptualize as a cappella. I think they've smashed it. I love how they have the Christmas theme and then the Halloween theme as well. And it's just in such a pentatonic style. You'll know what I mean by that. I'm enjoying it. Let us carry on to the end. Also, what a mullet from Mitch. Well,
I don't believe what's happening to me. My hopes, my dreams, my fantasy.
One baby impressed, I am a genius.
See how I transformed this old rat into a most delightful hat.
Compliments from me to you on this, your most intriguing hat. Consider though the substitute of bad in place of this old rat.
No
no.
Yeah, that's all wrong. This thing will never make a present. It's been dead for much too long. Try something fresh or something pleasant.
All together, that and this, with all our tricks, we're making Christmas time. 'Cause when the full moon starts to climb, we'll all sing out, it's Christmas time.
Oh, goosebumps galore on that one. I don't know what happened in that second half. I just was so engrossed in it, by it. Wow. Well, let's go back through. I'm going to need to go back through, pick out some of the parts that I found particularly interesting. I mean, the whole thing is so interesting. We could probably be here until next year talking about this, but no one wants that. So let's go back to the beginning. Now, the Spotify version that I was listening to earlier today in preparation for this, of the original song, of course, it's down a semitone from the Pentatonics version. But when I make these videos, I get the original version open on YouTube in another tab, and the version on YouTube, it's in the same key. This isn't uncommon. I've seen it quite a few times before where Spotify is in a different key to the one on YouTube, probably due to copyright or something. Anyway, I'll assume the Spotify version is the correct version, but for the purposes of this video, I think it could work in our favor having one that's in the same key as Pentatonics. So that's the one we'll use. Straight away, this opening. Those offbeats, very, very difficult, much more difficult than they might seem. But it's a great way to start, immediately captivating. I love Kevin's part as well, the kind of sounds that he makes here. It adds such an urgency to the sound. And in the original, in terms of the beats, the percussive elements that we're hearing, they come diegetically.
This time.
Meaning the things that we can see on the screen are what we're hearing. Machines, construction, banging, and we get a timpani drum banging, which really adds this kind of level of intensity to the music. As I mentioned before, I love the visuals here, the set that they have. We have this little zoom in to Scott. Very cartoon-esque, and cool effects applied to the audio as well, especially Kirsty's high notes at the start. Gives it the effect of a bell or something, like a metal resonating instrument. So the melody gets handed over to the bass, which means that the other three parts are now really providing the rhythmic urgency. They're essentially mimicking the offbeat alternations we started with, and now when the bass has the sustained notes, the urgent effect really becomes apparent. Then we get them singing This Time with a little bit of choreography. The first This Time comes on the last beat of the bar or the measure, but the second time they sing it, it comes in on the first beat of the bar. I'll go like this for the last beat of the bar on the second time round, when we might expect it to come in.
This time. This time.
We do get this in the original. In the original though, the phrases, they're much, much shorter.
This time. This time.
Because they're shorter, the effect of this offset entry for the second time, it's nowhere near as noticeable. Pentatonics, they really make the most out of these chords, these vocal harmonies. They are a cappella, after all, without all of the orchestral instrumentation providing support in the background, like in the original. And because this comes so early on, this offset of entries, it gives us quite a bit of a peculiarly eerie feel. I do want to just quickly talk about the aesthetic overall. They're all stood still.
This time.
Standing in the same position, the occasional choreography, such as here. Very much like we saw in Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy or God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen. You can check both of them plus others out in my Christmas playlist up here. But for me, it's their smiles. I find it creepy, and I love it because of the context of the original song. Creepy Halloween monsters working, smiling away, and the lyrics of the song as well are overwhelmingly positive, but there's just so much darkness behind them, both unintentionally, I suppose, as well as intentionally. It's very strange, and why I think it's a clever song. Anyway, Pentatonics, I think they've captured this essence really well. Creepy. Musically, everything is quite fragmented, and then we get this change of aesthetic from Christmas to Halloween.
Making Christmas.
Making Christmas, making Christmas.
This unison singing, change of scenery, change of color scheme. It's very dramatic, very choral as well. The style of singing here is choral, like a bunch of choir folk in terms of the enunciation, the intonation. And we have no beat for this bit, but then if we carry on,
Fine, it's ours this time, and won't the children be surprised?
it comes in, but it's very, very slow. If we compare that beatboxing by Kevin to the beginning, how much more conviction the sound has in its slowness,
Be surprised, it's ours this time.
with the focus much more on the lyrics, and we get some more unison singing, but this time with some slightly peculiar oohs in the background.
It's ours this time, and won't the children be surprised?
Why the oohs are peculiar? There are a lot of key changes in this music. I'll talk about this in a bit. The key has just changed, and in the new key, you have E natural. But in the oohs in Kirsty's part, she keeps returning to this note. Usually you change key to like accommodate the music and then you sing notes in the new key. And here it's sort of like a disregard of it and it just sounds a bit peculiar. The end of the phrase, as we just said, the slow beat used to great effect. The bass drops down now away from the melody, working so well with Kevin's beats.
It's ours this time.
Kevin really stressing the few notes that we do get in terms of frequency. This section, the 5 or 6 seconds, it's quite peculiar. I keep using the word peculiar, but I think we can all agree on it. That's the point of this song, to be unsettling.
Time, and won't the children be surprised? It's ours this time.
Unsettling, I think of as usually being related to unfamiliarity or the unknown. We're often scared of things that we don't know. I'm thinking of myself as a kid being scared going from point A to point B, thinking, what is that? What is that? Oh, lordy lord, what is that? So in terms of the music, 2 things happen here that contributes to this uncertainty. One, we get a key change. We get loads of them in this song. So the scale we're familiar with and have been listening to prior is now changed. 2, we get a temporary time signature change. You can think of this in various ways, but to make it clear, we have 4 beats per bar, but then we just suddenly have 2 bars that switch to 3 beats. And then we go back. Cue Sir Hairless from the future to transcribe just this 5 or 10 seconds of music, and I'll try and label everything. So as you can see, this is 4-part, no beat in here. I've labeled where the key signature changes, so that's when different notes start to be used, and also where the time signature changes that I was speaking about before, where we have these 2 bars or measures of 3 beats instead of the usual 4, which they change back to afterwards. And when they change back, they also change key again, this time to a new key. So in this little clip, we actually have 3 different keys. And then at the end, I've just color coded how when the melody is passed from Scott to Kirsty in green, then the other parts need to account for this. So Mitch's part then moves to Scott, and Mitch then takes over from what Kirsty was singing previously. And all that is just in a clip under 10 seconds. So imagine what's going on in the whole song. Yeah, it's nuts. Like I said, we could be here for days. They carry on for a bit. And the next kind of standout moment for me is this.
Let's have a cheer from everyone.
This unison semi-chromatic rise. I'm thinking, oh dear, they've gone to unison. They're rising. What are they rising to? What's coming next? Well, we get this really rather clever descent back down. It's like a layered chord, which we know they love to do, but this time each entry, each person has 2 different notes just to fragment it a little bit. Another word I think I'm saying a lot, fragmentation. The music, it's very, very fragmented in lots of different ways. Finishing right at the bottom with that effect, very beat and bass heavy. That leads into this bit, and the eyes, these special effects, these visual effects are not what I was expecting. I've seen special effects in voice play and recently in Home Free actually, but not really with Pentatonics. And this bit, in terms of the music, it's one of the moments from the original song I was curious about.
With spider legs and pretty bows, it's ours this time.
So if I show that part in the original, let's have a watch.
Mice get wrapped up so nice with spider legs and pretty bows.
Why I was curious about that part in particular is the harmony. In the original, it's wrong. I'm going to say wrong. I know it's not wrong because that was the intention. It's in the final film. But if you take some people and a couple of them can't sing in tune, they can't track their own part, that's a possible product. It could sound like that. Pentatonics, they've made the harmony right, or what you would expect.
With spider legs and pretty bows.
Still peculiar, in line with the music elsewhere, but they've chosen not to do the very purposefully out of tune or wrong harmony. Some other cool things. Next, we get this very obviously multi-tracked crowd effect, really, again, exaggerating the strange harmony.
All together that and this with all our tricks will.
And we can hear how some of the parts are just sliding up and down between the notes. There's a bit of chromaticism, which makes the next section all the more interesting. I think of this as a waltz section. So we've had another change in time signature. We're now in 3. Jump, bump, bump.
I don't believe what's happening to me.
I won't point out every time there's a time signature change or a key signature change because they happen so much. And that's why the song is so hectic, at least 2 of the biggest factors. It gives the effect that the song is all over the shop. Organized chaos, which I guess it is exactly that. A bunch of Halloween monsters trying to create Christmas. And another interesting bit that they've added in, something different. Scott and Kirsty here, I mean, Scott's doing a very exaggerated choral style of singing again, but Kirsty's voice, I mean, it sounds like a cartoon character, like a really, really exaggerated mezzo-soprano sound or something.
My hopes, my dreams, my fantasy.
Quite comical, and that phrase ends unexpectedly in the major, all happy, and then Mitch comes in to ruin it. Who knew he'd make such a good cackling witch? Oh, there's just so much. Then Matt's bass comes in, really, really ridiculous, actually. To me, it sounds like there's a lot of effects have been applied. Whether or not they have, I don't know.
Be impressed, I am a genius.
Now, what I'm about to show you, it's one of my favorite bits in the whole song. It's a great example of taking something and just completely transforming it. And it's also another moment from the original song where I was wondering how they'd treat it. We'll listen to the original first, because this part, it's a speaking section. And especially after having watched a lot of voice play recently, Pentatonics don't really do speaking in their songs, at least from what I've seen. So here's the original.
My compliments from me to you on this your most intriguing hat. Consider though this substitute, a bat in place of this old rat.
There we heard the main musical substance was the kind of xylophone sounding thing, doing these runs in the background. To do that a cappella at that speed with that accuracy would be immensely difficult. I mean, impossible, essentially. So Pentatonics transform the musical substance. I really like it. I think it's very clever.
Compliments from me to you on this your most intriguing hat. Consider though the substitute a bat in place of this old rat.
We do actually get similar sort of runs, but they've moved it to Matt in the bass. Quite cool effect it creates, and I think the reason for this, because if you have it higher up in Mitch or Kirsty, it's way too obvious. It's at the forefront of the sound. The bass quite low down. It's fine to be a bit mushy and, well, like this.
Dead for much too long, try something fresh or something pleasant.
And I love the homophony here on the quick lyrics, where they're all singing them at the same time in the same rhythms. It's so energetic. And then to finish up, in the original, there is a huge instrumental section that comes probably about a minute long. Pentatonics have omitted this, and they go with this lovely, peculiar, harmonically changing choral section, kind of like a strange Christmas carol.
The moon starts to climb, we'll all sing out, it's Christmas time.
Sorry, I don't know why my hand was like that for that. I really liked that. Short, sweet, very similar in many ways to Sugar Plum Fairy and God Rest You Merry Gentlemen, and I really, really liked them. I'm going to listen to this more times, many more times probably, and just admire everything about it. The arrangement, the creativity to take that, what you saw, some clips from the film, and turn it into this. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that one. Thank you to everyone who suggested this and who voted on the poll. Here we are, Halloween Day, Pentatonics making Christmas. And if you'd like to support me, the best ways would be by the Buy Me a Coffee linked down below, or joining my Patreon, becoming a member there, and you can take part in polls and get access to exclusive content that's not available on YouTube. Hopefully see you there, and I will see you next time.